Welcome to Nightcap Live. I'm Dan Dunn. Tonight on the show, I'm going to be drinking whiskey with comedian Carlos Mencia. He's going to be joining us in just a few minutes. As always, I invite you to check out my podcast, What We're Drinking with Dan Dunn, which In Style magazine described as, quote, rather unnerving. Listen to that. It's good stuff. It's available everywhere podcasts stream. As always, we invite you to chime in with comments, questions here to the little side thing there. You just put it in the window there. Try and say happy things. I think we could all use some more happy in our lives right now. So say happy, pleasant things, or don't say anything at all, as my grandmother used to say. We're doing a giveaway tonight. We do this every week. We're giving away a Flaviar membership. Flaviar, our sponsor here, of course, it's a club that brings together fine spirits enthusiasts from all over. Every quarter, you get a box, and it's got some samples in it with highly allocated liquor that you won't be able to find anywhere else. We try to keep you educated and entertained. Everything about alcohol. That's what Flaviar is all about. But it really is an amazing way to discover new friends and new products. And I say this, you can trust me. I'm not just a Flaviar spokes guy. I'm a member. Okay, how do you win the Flaviar membership? Well, I did a little research, looking down here at my research. Today, this very day in history, June 10th, 1752, Benjamin Franklin flew a kite. We all heard this story, right? He flew a kite in a thunderstorm, and he collected ambient electrical charge in a jar, and he was able to demonstrate the connection between lightning and electricity. You know, they say that's when Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity, okay? I don't know. Did he? Did he discover it? He had the kite out, though. So the question today, to win the Flaviar membership, I want you to, it's not really a question, but I want you to chime in with the three best quotes from Benjamin Franklin. He's an eminently quotable man, tons of Ben Franklin quotes out there. The three best. Put them in the comments, send them in. At the end of the show, Carlos Mencia and I will determine, using the scientific method, and we'll throw a kite up there and see which one gets hit. That's the winner. You're the winner. Flaviar membership. What else? I don't think there is anything else. I think it's time to just get to our guest. He's a comedian who has starred in a number of major motion pictures. The Heartbreak Kid, Our Family Wedding. For 4 seasons, he hosted the hit show on Comedy Central, The Mind of Mencia. He's a very funny man. Let's roll, Thad. Can we roll a little clip of our guest right now, please?
I was born in Honduras. My friends are like, dude, why do you love America so much? Because if I was in Honduras, I'd be the funniest man milking a cow. Hey, anybody want to hear a joke? A friend of mine loves Bush, hates Obama. My other friend loves Obama, hates Bush. They're arguing the other day. Obama's an idiot, he ruined everything. What are you talking about, dumbass? Obama's fixing everything that Bush ruined. Hey, Carlos, what do you think? I think that we should just be happy that we have a president that's in office. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Well, I'm from Honduras, bitch, where last year the president just disappeared. The whole country woke up one day and went, what happened to him? I don't know. Last night he was right there, right there. But today, he's not right there. I don't think he's coming back.
And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Carlos Mencia. How are you, buddy?
How's it going, bro? How you doing?
It's good to see you, man.
Likewise, man. Likewise.
You're looking healthy? You feeling okay? Things going all right in quarantine?
Yeah, you know what? I gained weight the first 2 months, and the last month I lost weight. So I'm at a net like 7-pound loss right now. So yeah,
that's great.
At first it was just like, it was hard, man. As you know, I haven't been home. I've never had that much time off in my entire life, adult life, since I was 20. I do 50 weeks pretty much of work or on the road. And so it was kind of like, whoa, I get the rest after years of performing. And then it just got really bad. I was like, man, I gotta work out or do something. It just felt so sedated and so just, and then it was like, let's clean the garage, let's clean the attic, and all that kind of stuff. So it was interesting, man. It's been an interesting flow. You know what I mean? It's I started off really trying to figure out what was going on, and I discovered I like my wife. That was a discovery. Well, no, I mean, listen.
It's useful at a time like this.
I've been with my wife for 25 years. It's not about love, but it's just after a while you get used to each other's, annoyances, but I kind of skipped her 40-year-old midlife crisis change, and it just hit me in the face all of a sudden, and it was fun, man. It was fun. Listen, to have a wife that's 40 years old that has to prove to you that she still has, the desires of a 20-year-old, that's a pretty badass thing to go through during quarantine, man.
Good for you, man. Good for you. I've been alone with my dog, and I'll just leave that there.
Wow.
No, you talk about your routine. You're being on the road, doing stand-up all the time. That has obviously been disrupted, just like it has been for everybody else. What has that done to you in terms of writing comedy? Are you still able to? Yeah.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. So when COVID first came out, right? March 5th was the last time I left the house. I kind of pretty much in quarantine since March 5th. So when all of that first happened, for the first month or so, it was really exciting, right? For the first month or two, because I lived for moments where maybe other comics are afraid to talk about stuff, or it might be I love it. I remember in 1992, I was at the Comedy Store in the original room up in Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. And I remember doing jokes about the riots, and we would point out the window of the club, and you can see the fires. So as I'm performing, I'm talking about looters and fires, and you could see like the smoke out the window. So those are the moments I live for. So my plan was, I'm going to write everything that happens during quarantine, all the stuff that's going on, all the kid stuff, all the connection stuff, like everything going out, wearing masks, people, the whole thing. And I'm going to put out a raw special, not like a clean one, just like a raw one. The first week I come back, I'm going to do all that material. Boom. So last weekend, the first weekend that I performed, I actually did a show on Thursday in West Palm Beach, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Miami. And what happened was this George Floyd Me Too movement, this Black Lives Matter movement changed everything, bro. Everything about masks and COVID, dude, nobody cared about it. It was funny, but it wasn't relevant. Anything to do with race, with cops, with Black Lives Matter, with inequities, that's what people wanted to hear about. So I went from Thursday to doing a whole show about being at home, COVID-19, all that kind of stuff, to Friday and Saturday adjusting and putting in, stuff about race and stuff about equality and stuff about Black Lives Matter and Brown Lives Matter too, and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm gonna be performing this weekend in San Antonio, and I'm actually gonna put together a set that's much more geared toward what people want to hear right now. And Monday or Tuesday of next week, I'm gonna release, a special. It'll be, like I said, it'll be raw, 2-camera shoot, going back and forth.
But how is that going to work in the club? Is there going to be an audience?
Well, yeah. What happens is it's 50%. That's what they can do. So this weekend that I did shows, it was only 50%. All the staff had masks on. Some of the people chose not to. Actually, in Miami, everybody chose to take off their mask while they were in the club, but they're social distancing. So they only sell to about 45 to 50% of capacity so that people can social distance. The menus, I think the menus are a QR code, so they pop up on your phone so you don't have to touch anything. And it's different. It's weird. It's weird to go on stage and be like sold out, but half the room is empty. It's a weird feeling. But it's also really interesting because anybody coming out to see a show right now is of a different, you know what I mean? We're the crazy people that left the old country. Whoever comes to see my show right now, however long ago your ancestors came here, they were the crazy ones that said, you know what? Let's take a chance and go to America and see what happens, and that's it's fun to live in that moment. Me personally, I already got it. I got it in January, late January, February. Not that I'm not afraid to get it or I'm not, doing the protection. I am, but I don't know. I don't feel the same fear as
had you not had it. Yeah.
So I'm kind of in a different space mentally, but I'm really, listen, I live for moments like this where I can talk about, what's going on in the world, Black Lives Matter, because here's where I could talk about how we're all a little racist. How we're not racist, but we have racist tendencies that we don't think are racist. We just think it's normal, but now is the time to address those little ones. Because it's not about the big stuff. Most of us are okay. It's about the little things like if your name is Tyrell or Tanisha, the chances of you getting an interview are far less than if your name didn't sound Black. So it's about little stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's about you know what it's about? It's about everybody I know has a Black friend that when we introduce that Black friend or we talk about that Black friend to others, especially for the first time, we say stuff like, he's Black. No, don't worry. He's not that Black. It's almost like, okay, let's talk about that. What does that mean he's not that half Black? Like what
well, I think people are certainly, the dialogue now that's going on in both in person and on social media is like nothing I've seen before. And so I think it's going to be I think you're going to see some sort of change. Hopefully it's going to be a positive change, a good change. People are going to stop, because a lot of people going at each other now too. Like people don't know how to behave. They don't know how to act. What can I say? Can I be supportive? Can I be too supportive? Am I not being supportive enough? Right. And I think people just have to listen and try and figure stuff out that a lot of people probably never thought they were going to have to figure out, but now they do. I think the reckoning is here and it's good. And on that note, I think it's time to have a drink.
Yes.
So what we have here today is we're doing the Flaviar Welcome Box, and we've got 3 different whiskeys here. We've got Breckenridge Bourbon. I'm looking over here because my whiskey's here. I want to make sure it's okay. We've got Copper Fox Rye, and we've got a Scotch from Wolfburn. So let me ask you, Carlos, right up front, are you a big whiskey fan?
I am a huge Scotch guy.
Okay.
I like the really good Scotches. I've gotten into some whiskeys from Japan. Actually, me and my buddy had some really good Japanese whiskey, which, by the way, is really weird because they made it for a long time. You know this, and it didn't sell very well. So they stopped making it for 5 years. And then the 5 year later, it started blowing up. So right now, there's a gap in whiskeys coming out from there. And some of the stuff that you get is just so expensive, but it's really good. And I tell people, I'm not I don't like the way alcohol tastes as a whole, but I like Scotch to taste like Lagavulin. I like that because it tastes like shoe polish.
Big peaty. What's a big peaty Scotch?
Very, yeah. And people tell me like, what does it taste like? I'm like, it tastes like shoe polish. They're like, no. And then they'll taste it and they're like, why do you like this? I don't know, man. I don't like most stuff. I'm not a tequila guy. I don't drink that stuff, but it's not a big. So,
well, hopefully we're going to convert you to this bourbon and this rye that we have as well. Those are 2 very good whiskeys. On top of that, Scotch we're going to do. So the first one we're going to do is Breckenridge Bourbon. Is that with you, Frank? All right, let's.
Yeah, hold on. I got. Whoa! I got a little ball. Now, am I supposed to do it with or should I do it with ice, with round ice?
Let's try neat first. Okay. Yeah. So what I would do, the first thing I would say we're going to do, we're going to get it into a glass. And then, so I got mine here. You got yours there. So we're going to nose this thing. And one of the things we do when we're nosing is you don't want to ram your nose in that glass too much because the alcohol the alcohol is just going to burn your nose. Keep your mouth open and do a little bit of this. Just kind of breathe it in, and you get it there, right? It's like, do you get that banana? I got that banana taste right there. That's coming from the wood, that banana nose note there.
Is there vanilla in it? It's like,
yeah, there's a little bit of, that a little, like a vanilla and there's some caramel. And I think I'm getting like a molasses, maybe, like that kind of. Yeah. Okay. So now here's what we're going to do when we taste this, Carlos. We want to do a little sip, a tiny bit to coat your mouth, prime your palate as it is. So we take a little, get it around in there. All right. Now we're ready. And now we take a more significant sip to do this thing. And there's that vanilla you're talking about. I'm getting that on the palate for sure. It's this is a sweet whiskey, not in a bad way, but it's definitely got a sweetness to it. You getting that as well?
It's a little sweet, but it also has it's got a little bit, it's got a good balance of the alcohol and the sweetness. So the sweetness is there, but there's also a kick to it. I liken it to my hot sauces, right? I love hot sauces. I love chile. I love, go getting tacos and making the chile and here's the way it is. If it's so hot that's all you taste, it's no good, right? Yeah. It's got to have some kind of flavor to it with a balance of woo. And this has a really nice balance of
it does.
The alcohol in it, a little kick to it. There's a little something to it. But then mixed in with that, you got that banana you were talking about, that molasses, that sweetness.
A little I'm picking up like a toast, like maybe even a little slightly burnt toast flavor. I mean, that's what I'm getting.
I was gonna say oaky, but it's not oaky. It's something.
I do think there's the oak in there too. I mean, I'm getting a little bit of that. That might be what you are getting there. Is that those oak notes? Yeah. So Breckenridge is one of the highest distilleries in the world. It's at 90. It's almost 10,000 feet. It's I think they call themselves the world's highest distillery.
Because this is actually from Breckenridge.
Breckenridge, yeah, and this is kind of their signature product right here, the Breckenridge bourbon whiskey, and it's called a high rye. Okay, it's called a high rye bourbon, which means the mash bill by law has to be at least 51% corn to be bourbon, but then a pretty high percentage of the rest of the mash bill is rye. And so that rye gives you also that spiciness to it. That's where that's coming from. If you're getting that's the rye component there.
Right now.
Yeah.
I'm getting that right now. Like a little bit of it's not a sting, but it's definitely there in my palate.
Yeah.
It's what stays. It's what stays more than anything else. It's like a little kick. I like it.
I think the thing that I've always liked about Breckenridge, I don't know if it's the secret ingredient, but it's a very clean whiskey to me, and I'm attributing that to that they're using snow melt water from the Rockies. The water source that they're using is very pure, and I think to me that's got to make a difference into what's going on here in this whiskey. Yeah. Now you were saying about ice. If you want to throw some ice in there, by all means do it. And what that'll do is as the ice melts and the water gets into the whiskey, it's going to smooth it out a little bit for you. In fact, when you talk about Scotch, for instance, when I'm tasting Scotch, and almost all the distillers do this as well, put a couple of drops of water in there because it makes it easier to identify the flavors you're getting because it mitigates the alcohol a little bit. But, I would say this to you, any way you want to drink it is the way to drink it. But I always like to try it neat just so I can get the flavor.
Right.
And then got it. Okay, now what do I want to do with it? Do I want to make a cocktail with it?
Right.
Do I want to put a little ice? Do I want to put it on the rocks? 1 cube, a little bit of water. It's really however you really want to enjoy it. And I want to remind everybody out there, if you have any questions or comments for Carlos, put them in the box, and you try to win that Flaviar membership. The 3 best things that Ben Franklin ever said. I know. Yeah, I know, Carl. I mean, you know them all off the top of your head, right? Me and you both.
No. But by the way, I was just trying to show off with the ice because I got a round ice. That's all.
Oh yeah, that's a good looking cube. What do you got? You got a special?
It's supposed to be completely round, but my wife didn't fill it all the way up to the top, so it's like a 3/4 of a ball. It's really cool when it's the actual circle itself. You know what I mean?
That's great.
Yeah.
We got a comment here from Mario Espinoza. Said, Carlos, keep doing your thing from the 410 player.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Is the 410 is an area code, I'm guessing, right?
It is an area code, my brother. It is. Everybody claims when you grow up the way we do, I don't know what it is. You claim your neighborhoods or your area codes.
Oh yeah.
It's I don't know what it is, bro. It's a weird thing. You know, when you come here as an immigrant, it's one of the really tough things is how much of what you ran away from were you running away from, so to speak? Like, how much of the culture do you want to get rid of or stay away from? You know what I mean? How much of the culture do you want to retain? How much do you want to acculturate yourself? And you know, that struggle is kind of what makes, especially in drinking and culinary. You think of when I was a kid, taco trucks were like, what? You're going to do what? And little by little, those taco trucks ended up blowing up an industry of where now there's a TV show about, you know, trucks that cook food, and the falafel truck and the taco truck and the sushi truck and the Kobe truck and the ganji. It's like, I love that infusion of it. You know, it's like alcohol, right? So much of it isn't from here. I mean, of the indigenous, I don't know very much about what Native Americans were drinking, but
I think they were smoking weed.
You know, like what? Yeah, like
peyote,
where I
man.
come from in Honduras, they make this stuff called chicha, and what chicha is fermented corn, and you know, and then it just turns into alcohol. Well, it tastes like really, really, really bad sake. That's what it tastes like. It doesn't have a flavor. It's all alcohol. It's not.
It's moonshine. It's moonshine. I mean, that's what moonshine is. They would take the corn, right, and that's, it's all alcohol really basically it all sort of emanates from the same place. And it's throughout the centuries it's been done, but it's all, it's pretty simple. You take a starch, you ferment it,
right, you
distill it, and that what comes out of that is alcohol. And that's anywhere you make, that's how it happens. You mentioned you're from Honduras.
This by the way, is so
good.
Smooth. Oh my God, so smooth.
Now I feel like I got to run and get ice. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm gonna go neat.
Don't do it. Stay there.
One of the things that jumped out at me. One of these things that jumped out at me from your bio is you are the 17th of 18 children.
Yeah, I'm the 17th of 18 kids. There's
What was that like?
That's not the weird part. The weird part is 8 girls were born in a row before me, and I wore hand-me-downs. So in 1984, I was wearing Jordache jeans to high school, bro. And
that's stylish, though, man. Come on.
They didn't make them for men. What are you talking about? They were only women brands. It was I wore blouses to school. I was a very effeminate kid. If you ever watch me perform and you have time, imagine I'm a woman complaining about things that are going on, and you'll truly understand part of the genesis of me wanting to be a comedian. It was just listening to, everybody's problems being talked about, and this girl and that girl and this and that. It was such a part of my upbringing that when I discovered comedy, a place where I can actually talk about all that stuff, where I can talk about people that complain, where I can talk about the idiots, where I can talk about basically the gossip of the world. It became my lifeblood. It just.
So how did it happen? What was your first foray into comedy?
Well, at first I had no idea what comedy was. I wasn't a young comic. I envy guys like Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle who were like, I was 14 and I was on a stage. I'm like, man, I had no idea what stand-up was until I was 19, 20. I discovered it. My friends were like, yo, you should do stand-up. You're really funny. I had no idea what it was. When I first started, I was an amalgamation of all the comedians that because I was working at the Comedy Store as a doorman. So I would watch a guy like Charles Cozart or Steve Greenstein or Fred Greenlee, people that a lot of people don't know, but I was like Joey Gaynor, and I was like, oh my God, that guy's funny. And I was like a carbon copy of all of them. So I would do one joke and I sounded like this guy, and I'd do another joke and I sounded like that guy. And I slowly began to, talk about stuff that I wanted to talk about things that I felt were relevant. And the minute I saw a guy named Paul Mooney, who went up on stage, black man, and he was a reverend, and he told everybody to kiss his ass, and this is the way it is. And I remember going, wait, we could do that? We could be relevant? I could talk about how there aren't any Latinos in movies about the future? Wait a minute, this is great. Like, I could actually be funny and relevant at the same time. And it's really funny because I remember one of the things that I talked about, or that I germinated. One of the first thoughts was like, why aren't we represented in movies, in different ways? That was one of the first ideas that I came up with. That came from me. That wasn't part of, me growing up and trying to shed some of, my youth. And it's really funny because this past weekend, I did a joke about how I'm waiting for the Latino superhero ever since the Black Panther came out. I'm still waiting for the brown.
Has there never been? There's never been a Latino superhero.
But that's what I'm saying. It's really funny. It's interesting that 30 years later, that premise is still viable. You know what I mean? That I can still do that joke, and it's still relevant and funny. And so, as much as things have changed, some things stay the same, and they'll always change. But it's about pointing it out. It's about showing those things. And for me as a comedian, I get to live in that world of philosophy, of reflection, of letting people know where I come from, where they come from, where we come from, how we act, how we are, the interpretations of our behaviors. It's a great. If I wasn't a comedian, I would be that dick at work that everybody hated because I would be talking to them about shit that they just didn't want to hear about. You know what I mean?
Sure. Do you remember the first time maybe you felt like your culture was being represented on either TV or in a film? Do you remember the first time you went, wow, I recognize those people? You know what? It happened gradually. I think it happened in TV. It's changed, right? So in television, when I was a kid and I watched TV, there was a Latino once every year or two in every police drama. Like every police drama had it. And it was one of two things. It was either a kid who might have been going on the wrong path, but maybe was on the right path. And then the cop came in and, Starsky and Hutch talked to him and straightened him out. And at the end, they chose the right path instead of bad path. So that was one, origin of the Latino in it. Or then the second one was a knock on the door, a cop saying, excuse me, did you see anything? A very Mexican lady saying, no, I know, seen nothing.
And then the cop saying, we're going to call immigration if you don't tell us. And then she was like, okay, it was Johnny from around the corner, and he's in apartment 3B. Please don't call immigration. And like, those were the two, bro. That was the stereotypes that existed in this, in television. But if you turn on TV now, you know, you'll see a Latino in some way, shape, or form as a police officer or as a district attorney or as a friend, or you know what I mean? So
well, and it was such a
have slightly changed, but there's a lot of room to grow, bro. It's kind of like movement. No matter what, you because when you want something, right? When you're on my end and I'm like, man, I want Latinos in movies, and they put one of us in a movie, I go, yeah. But there's also, you know, we want more. You know what I mean? We want to be. I want people to, and listen, 32 years of doing stand-up comedy, and I still, every once in a while, will get a phone call from a club or a theater or whatever, and they'll say, hey, like, some people are calling and they want to know if you're going to do shows like our jokes in Spanish because they don't speak Spanish. And I'm like, wow, like, do I got to call myself Charlie in order for you to be like, I'm doing shows in Birmingham, Alabama. Do you really think I'm going to Birmingham to do stuff in Spanish? Like, I'm not that stupid, you know? So it's a balance, bro.
Yeah.
It's a balance of this. Don't become bitter. Don't become angry. Know that hate's going to come your way, and know that certain people are going to question your thoughts and beliefs simply because you have a name like Carlos Mencia or you don't look like them or whatever the case is. But you just have to not become an angry person. You know what I mean? That's the real fight as an artist like me. Just to not become a douchebag and angry and bitter at the world, you know, because we could all say it could have been better. I could have done more. You could have given me more. And sometimes you lose sight of the fact that I lead a life so amazing that you guys got a hold of me and sent me some alcohol that I can have for free and enjoy. This is a beautiful, dude. It's a beautiful thing, man.
I'll drink to that, man. Cheers to that.
Cheers, brother. And that's you know, that's the serious side of stand-up. I mean, and think about it. Listen, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, you know, even Benjamin Franklin from back in the days, their quotes changed the world. They were the people that mirrored society. I would venture to say that, you know, George Carlin, Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, they are the philosophers of today. They are the people that through comedy get people naked emotionally and tell them stuff that they would normally rather not hear. Like, as an example, I could do a joke about, let me think of something a little kind of edgy. Oh, here's something I could talk about on stage and get away with it and get a laugh. I could talk about how some people don't want, like, Fort Hood, and it is named after a general from the South, you know, from the Confederate Army. So I can do a joke about how, look, I get it. You're from the South. You want to celebrate the Confederacy. I understand. But don't you think it's kind of stupid to name a fort after a general who lost the fucking war? I think that's not a good thing. I just don't think that's a good thing. And that's disarming. That's not a political statement. That is not me telling you that your politics are wrong or mine are better. That's just me literally saying, do I really want the face of a loser right before I send my troops? Hey, do it like Hood did and lose. There's something we could do there that is disarming. You know what I mean? And moments like this in time are when we are needed the most. You're going to see, bro, that the really big guys, the really big names in comedy, or the guys that are going to make a big name in comedy right now, are going to mirror society, are going to talk about what's going on, are going to really, you know what I mean, get into the inside of it and make people laugh. Because what happens when we make people laugh is we take away that armor, that anger, that part of them that wants to defend whatever it is that they want to defend. And we can point stuff out, you know.
And that's so needed right now. I mean, I think, there are times if I'm on social media and I look at things that people are saying, my natural instinct is to go, boy, there's a good joke right there that I can put in.
Right.
But you got to be. It's this weird thing, and it's sort of what you alluded to earlier about comedians I worry about it because you make a joke and suddenly the mob's coming for you, man. They're like, the social media mob's going, why would you say that? This is not a time for laughter. But I think it really, we need some levity or else people go crazy.
Yes, we need the levity. I think that what happens with comedians is sometimes we say stuff that is funny for the sake of being funny, and we're not really thinking about the issue itself that we're talking about. This is one of the times where both of those need to be together, right? Where we have to put both together, where be funny, be edgy, but also understand where the world is right now and put those together. And sometimes it's hard, bro. Sometimes it's not easy because, as you were saying, sometimes a joke is just so good and so right there in your face, but you kind of go, okay, you know what? Here's an example. The 75-year-old man who was pushed and bumped his head. There's an easy joke to tell about that old man that goes something like, what the hell was he doing out there? You're 75, you're going to get COVID, and you're trying to fight the cops and you can't even stand up. There's a joke to be told about that. But is that an appropriate joke right now? Do we really want to do a joke about that old man? No, you don't.
Yeah.
So what is the angle? My angle this weekend was, everybody's telling me that things are changing, but when 57 police officers show up at the arraignment of the two cops that pushed the 75-year-old man to let those guys know we support you, that's what's wrong with cops, in my opinion. They pushed the 75-year-old man. You could have caught on him, for Christ's sakes. You could have just went and given him COVID. There's so many things you could have done. You could have walked around him. He wouldn't have even moved. There's so much stuff that you could do and enlighten and make both sides laugh at it at the same time, but also have conversations afterwards. The conversations that occur after the show, whether agree or disagree. You know what I mean? It's that moment. That's what I live for. That moment where people go, they're in their car and somebody in the car, 4 people are in there. They go, man, that thing about that 75-year-old, that was funny. And then somebody will say, yeah, but he shouldn't have been standing in front of the cops. And then somebody else goes, well, he's 75. What was he gonna do? Tell me what he did, 75-year-old man did, to make these cops think their life was in danger or peril. It wasn't. They just pushed them because they're dicks.
I think he was threatening them with his walker. The walker. No, I'm kidding.
They shit at me, dude.
Come on.
Listen, my point is that even the joke that you're telling, that's the stuff that's necessary right now. It's going to make people laugh, but I think more importantly, it's going to make people talk. It's going to make people defend their positions, whether they're change or not. And that that's what America's all about, man. And I just love times like this where the jokes are not just jokes. They're more important, and so it takes it up a notch. Particularly, that's the best, bro. It's the.
And by the way, it's time for us to take it up a notch with our whiskey consumption here, and we're going to move on to our second whiskey from the Flaviar Welcome Box, which is the Copper Fox Rye. Copper Fox Distillery is from Virginia. Been around, I think, since about 2005. Okay, and this is a rye whiskey. As I said to you before, it's a 45% ABV, which means 90 proof. Okay. Remember how we're doing this nose on this thing?
Oh, this one doesn't smell anything like the other one.
No. This is there's some raisin, maybe.
What is that?
It's raisin toast. Why am I stuck on toast today? Maybe I'm hungry. And then there's a sherry quality to this. If you ever drink sherry, this smells a little bit like sherry to me.
So this is going to sound weird, but I used to work at a tire place back in the day. And
Sure.
when you dip a tire to clean it out, there's a certain smell that comes from a brand new tire when you put soap on it. This has a similar smell to that for some reason. It's like I don't know what it is, man.
Wet rubber. See, that's a good one. That's a good one. You can save that for the next tasting you go to.
Holy crap, dude.
I'm picking up some wet Firestone here. Notes of Hankook. Yeah.
I'm feeling the rubber, the wet rubber. Wow.
So if you take that little sip that I said to prime your palate, and then we do the next one. So tell me the very first note that comes to mind.
You know what it is, bro?
What's that?
When I was a kid living in Honduras, every once in a while we would run out of dry wood. So most people don't know that wet wood, what we call wet wood or fresh wood, barely chopped, has a lot of liquid in it. So it's really hard to light, and it has a very specific smell. That's what this smells like.
Yeah.
It's not smoky, it's not peaty, but there's a vegetation with some kind of burntness to it.
Yeah.
That's what I smell.
And then on the taste, I'm getting to me, the first thing is just spice. There's pepper here. Like there's that's the rye. Like I mentioned that before in the blend from the bourbon, that rye just really brings that pepper, maybe like a toasted almond flavor to it.
That's what it is. Toasted almond. It smells a little tiny bit like
Boom.
when my mom used to drink Amaretto di Serrano. Oh, dude.
Oh, man, that's the good stuff. The good stuff, the amaretto.
That's what it is, bro. It's that, you got it on the head, dude. Well, that's why you do what you do, bro.
We got a question for you, Carlos, from Eric.
Yeah.
Eric 9108 says, how long do you rehearse a routine before it's ready to take it on stage?
So listen, Thursday, I went on stage, had not been on stage for 3 months, and I did an hour and 25 minutes of brand new material that I had written during the whole COVID issue. Like I said, the problem was, as funny as it was, a lot of it didn't feel relevant. And when you get to a certain place as an artist, you up your own ante. So if I write a joke that doesn't get a huge laugh and an applause break somewhere during the joke, it's not good enough. So I got off stage after doing an hour and 25 minutes, and all my comedian friends that came to see the show were like, dude, how you wrote an hour and a half of new stuff that you just tried and it was funny and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, but there was something missing. So I have 6 shows this weekend. By Saturday's second show or Sunday's show, I will have about an hour and a half to 1 hour and 45 minutes of brand new material, but I'm going to turn it into 1 hour. And it's not going to be perfect. And it's not going to be tight, and it's not going to be as good as it would be if I did it a month from now. But here's the difference. A month from now, some of the stuff will be a month old. Whereas by Monday, that stuff is going to be fresh. It's going to be. Yeah. So here's the way comedy works. The more polished the joke is, the funnier it gets. But there is an exception when you do stuff that just happened. So if you talk about, Saturday Night Live, for example, if you watch Saturday Night Live reruns, some of the stuff holds up. Some of the stuff you look at it and go, oh, that's when, this guy was running for president or that's what that guy, and it's funny, but it doesn't have that punch. That's that line that we kind of fight when we write material. Is it going to be reactive and funny at the moment, but not as funny later? Or am I going to wait and do stuff that's going to be funny for a long time, but it's not going to hit the heart in that moment?
Right now.
And okay. So I'm taking a chance and putting it out because, by the end of the year, I'll have another 45 minutes or hour of stuff that I can do that's not, COVID or, Black Lives Matter related, and we'll move on. So this is an opportunity.
It's going to be about your new love of bourbon and rye. There you go.
Exactly, dude. And
I want to hear, when I come see you, I want to hear a whiskey joke out of you. All right. Now this one, I got to tell you, this one, I really enjoy this. But again, I think I mentioned apple on the nose, and I'm getting a little bit of that bitter apple on the palate too. And it's a good one from Virginia.
This aftertaste is way different than the first one. The Breckenridge aftertaste was fruity and the banana, but then when that went away, I tasted the alcohol.
Yeah.
This one is mixed the whole way. This one tastes like a little bit of alcohol with the mix of what you were talking about, the almond especially. But even as it dissipates, it still tastes like that. It's very bizarre.
So again, I invite everybody out there to chime in to try to win this Flaviar, because you would get this Flaviar welcome box. You would get this. The 3 best quotes from Ben Franklin. Carlos and I are gonna pick a winner at the end of the show, which is coming up. But I don't want to hold off any more with this, because I know you said early on you're most excited about Scotch. And so let's get into the Scotch here. This is the Wolfburn. Okay, so you got that one there, the Wolfburn. Let's grab this. All right, we got it. Okay, so Wolfburn is the northernmost distillery on the Scottish mainland, and it's been around since 1821. Long time. And this here is one of their expressions that we're having here called Northland. Okay.
It's so clear.
Yeah, right. Look at the color on that thing.
The color is amazing. I feel like I'm having white wine.
Yeah, the nose. So this is only a 3-year-old whiskey. Okay, so that's when you're seeing that very light color.
Yeah.
It only spent 3 years in the wood. The darker you see a spirit get, that's because it's been in barrel longer. It's extracted more of the wood. That's where the color is coming from. This is a young one, 3 years old. And again, 46% alcohol, so that's 92 proof.
Not a strong nose, right? Very subtle.
Yeah.
Right?
And now this is aged in Islay casks. Islay is an island off the west coast of Scotland where the peaty scotches come from. The one you mentioned earlier, Lagavulin, is on Islay. Lafroig is on Islay. And so you're going to probably, Well, that is interesting. Definite peat. You're getting that peat smoke, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I love this, dude.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, I love how peaty this is.
Very smoky.
Very smoky. Woo!
A little bit of chocolate.
Smoky, right?
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, that's Wolfburn. And, man.
That's a very strong peat, bro. That's a very strong aftertaste.
Now that's a whiskey. Do you like to do your Scotch in a cocktail, or you just like to do it neat or on the rocks?
Oh, no,
for the most part.
Normally for me, it's like, if I'm going to do good Scotch, I want to go to a Scotch bar where they're going to put 1 cube in there and, I'm going to sip it. I'm going to taste it. I'm going to enjoy it. I've learned that I don't like. So here's what happens when you're a comedian. Right? First of all, I'm 52 years old. I never drank until I was 42. So never had a drink. Never.
Really? Was that just a lifestyle choice?
You know what it was, man? I grew up in the hood, and I grew up around a lot of alcoholics, and it just was not a positive thing. It wasn't, it wasn't like what we're doing now. Do you know what I mean?
We weren't. Yeah.
It was
responsible drinking. Yes.
yeah, this is different. I mean, I remember, some of my friends coming over the house, and my mom had, because she made so much food for us, that she would always have extra food, and they would come and eat at our house because their dad cashed the check, at the local bar. That kind of thing is what So
that's why you stayed away from it, yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to take care of my family. So by 42, I bought my mom and dad a house. I took care of my family. I put money away. I felt like everything that I've done is to help everybody around me. And now I want
Let's get drunk.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly, bro. It was like, it's time for me.
Now what can I do?
I started, trying little stuff here and there. And, you know how it is with alcohol. You got to kind of slowly get into it. You can't go from nothing to a scotch or to something that has a very vibrant taste. Even good tequila, even sipping tequila, like all right, 1942, just to throw something out there that everybody would know. It's a different feel. And so what I've discovered when I first started, I kind of, whatever, let's have a beer, let's have this. Started getting into beers a little bit, then realized don't really like the way beer tastes. Started getting into alcohol. But what happens when you're a comedian is you don't want to get drunk during shows because then they affect the shows. And something weird is going to happen. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but something not normal is going to occur if you start taking too much, alcohol in. And so, you finish at 12:30, and most places stop serving alcohol at 2. So then you go and pound, and you don't really, so you take 3 or 4 shots in an hour, and you just don't really taste it. You know what I mean? So what I realized was I enjoy what we're doing right now. Talking, you know what I mean? Smoking a cigar.
Sure.
Having a nice whiskey, a nice bourbon, a nice, something that kind of, and that makes you kind of feel like, hey, let's have a conversation, but not let's be stupid. And so this kind of drinking to me is like really, really nice. But I'm loving this one.
Well, okay, so Mario Espinosa wrote in from Facebook and said, hey, Carlos, describe Wolfburn in one word in Spanish.
Ooh. Oh, God, what would it be? Damn it. Picante, which means hot. But it's, okay, so here's what it is. The nose on this is so, for me anyway, not connected to the taste. Normally, they go hand in hand, but for some reason, when I smell this, it smells mild, not in your face, not very harsh, not very, intrusive, but the taste is like, boom,
it's delicious.
Wow. It doesn't make sense. My brain is going, wait, did you drink what you just smelled? Because that's not the same thing. It's, it's really interesting.
It's delicious.
Very interesting.
Chris Hetrick asks, since you love scotch, what's your favorite scotch, and what scotches do you have in your bar?
You know what? I just drank my Lagavulin. Let me see here what I got. Let me see if I got anything good here. No, not that one. Let me see. I actually may have drank all my scotches, bro.
Oh, we got to get you some. All right, what about this one? Then we got another one. What about, you like cigars? What kind of cigars do you smoke?
Here's one right here. I just, so you know, look, came back here and I got it. This is one of them. There you go. So it's, I'm into mild. I don't like Cubans. I don't mind Cuban seed.
Okay.
But the Cuban stuff is way too hard for me. Kind of like alcohol. I'm not, big on the boom boom stuff. But I like Hondurans.
Okay.
And Dominicans. Love Honduran and Dominicans. Can't do it very often. My wife is a big anti-smoker, and so the kids to see me smoke. And, you know, at the end of the day, I usually do what I want no matter what. But on this one, I kind of look at my wife and I'm like, yeah, but okay. So, you know, I sometimes, I don't smoke as much as I want to, but when I hang out with my friends that smoke, it's so great. And smoking with nice alcohol that goes with whatever you're smoking is really good. It's like having a really good meal with a wine that complements whatever you're eating. It's very similar. But
especially with a good whiskey.
I think my favorite, and it's only because it's not the best tasting, it's not the best I've ever had, but for the price and for how much I like it, it would probably be the Lagavulin.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd probably be the Lagavulin. But like I said, it's not the best I've ever had. But the best I've ever had is so expensive that it's almost stupid to even bring it up. You know what I mean? It's almost like, I have enough money to buy it. And I'm just like, no, come on. That's, you know.
Sure.
Well, as a matter of fact, even bottles of Lagavulin that before COVID and before stay at home were like $30. Now they're $120. I'm like, what are you doing to me?
But the good news is we're not spending money on anything else. We're not spending money going out. We're not spending, you know, so at least we have that kind of disposable income. We got to get to our prize winner here, though, Carlos. So I'm going to need your help on this. Again, the what we asked was 3 quotes on this anniversary of Ben Franklin flying the kite, discovering electricity. 3 Ben Franklin quotes. I'm going to just throw some out, and you and I will pick the winner. So Robert Acosta said, 3 may keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. Okay. You may delay, but time will not. Right? Okay. And then the 3rd quote was, tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn. Very famous quote that is attributed to Ben Franklin, but there is no proof that he actually said that one. A lot of philosophers have attributed that particular quote to a Confucian philosopher that actually said that. So that's up for debate whether Ben Franklin said it or not. All right, so those are those 3, Carlos. We got those. Now let's see. As moats, AZ moats. Love your enemies, for they tell you your faults. That's a Ben Franklin. Better slip with foot than tongue. That is another one. And he that lies down with dogs shall rise up with fleas. Those are 3 very famous quotes from Ben Franklin. That's a good one. Keith, can you throw AZ moats into the possible winner category there? Who is wise? He that learns from every one. I don't know. By the way, I don't know why people just start making shit up. It's not like you and I know all the Ben Franklin quotes. You know, we're like, oh yeah. Wait a minute. That's bullshit. I would be, if I was out there right now, I would be completely making up quotes to mess with us. All right. Having been poor is no shame, but being ashamed of it is. Are these things that Ben Franklin said? I love this.
I don't know if Ben Franklin
Did
said
you ever
that.
hear that one before?
I'm sorry.
I'll try to see that. All right. Maybe you said it.
I don't think so. I don't think that Ben Franklin gave a shit about poor or not. I don't care about that, bro.
All right, so then you're out. We don't even call it. We think you're making it up. You might not be. Mia Opusoni, Opusone, How would you say that? Opusoni?
Yeah.
Okay.
Opusone. Or Opusone, depending on like where it's from. E or A, depending. But I got you.
Okay. He that falls in love with himself will have no rivals. Did Ben Franklin say that? If he did, that's a good one. There's never a good war or a bad peace. I like that.
Oh, that's
and
great quote. That is a great quote.
Did he say it though? I have a whole list of his most famous quotes. I don't see that one, but we're gonna. I like that anyway. So that one's, and then the final one from Mia was "Love your enemies, for they tell you your faults," which you've heard. So put Mia. Should we put her in the possible winner category there?
Yeah.
Possibly. Okay.
I don't like. You know what? That quote of "love your enemies, for they tell you your faults," that used to be true before the internet.
Now the internet tells you your faults. Yeah, it's
after
true.
the internet, they're just bullies and dicks. Like,
yeah.
There was a time when your enemies told you truths about what was wrong with you, like real real tangible things that you could go, wow, okay, I'm coming off like that. I want to do that. But the internet has led to so much visceral stupidity and a mundaneness when it comes to creativity of hatred that I read so many things that people say that I want to learn from, and I'm like, there's nothing to learn here. It's just
okay.
It's just negative,
so we're throwing that quote out. That quote's
I
out.
know that quote.
All
I don't
right.
think that quote is true today. Is my point.
What the hell was wrong with Ben Franklin? He couldn't have foreseen what was going to happen with the internet.
He couldn't.
Right.
God damn it, he knew about electricity. He couldn't know about the internet.
Wasn't that smart, was he? Okay, Laura Ann said, I fear the man who drinks water and so remembers this morning what the rest of us said last night. I like that. That's good for a drinking show. So the person that's not drinking, okay, all right. Laura Ann, you might have put yourself in the lead here. We must indeed all hang together, or most assuredly, we shall all hang separately. That's another good one. And an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Okay.
Oh, that's
Laura Ann, you've jumped into the lead.
Yes.
Kathy Solomon.
Yeah. It was great.
Okay.
It was great.
Kathy Solomon says genius without education is like silver in the mine. You haven't taken it out. You haven't been.
Let me think. Genius without an education. Love the quote, and probably again before the internet. True, but you look at Fortune 500 CEOs. The majority of them state schools. Presidents, Ivy League. Leaders of corporations. The majority of them didn't go to the best of schools. So I think that there's a lot of common sense in this world, and people that like the internet. That's the beauty of one of the beauties of the internet. It allows people that aren't college educated or whatever to create something that is so simplistic that it changes the world. And I think that today that the mind is open because of the internet. I mean, think about, look at us. I mean, what are the chances that back in the day when there was ABC, NBC, and CBS, unless you were in a big town, in a big city like LA, then they had like KTLA and KTTV and KCOP and a couple of others. But what are the chances that we would have had a show like this back then? And so this ability, I think, has changed the paradigm of what knowledge is about. And it doesn't have to just be book smart anymore.
Well, and just a little known fact here, Ben Franklin, considered one of the brightest minds in American history, only had 2 years of formal education. 2 years. That's it. All right,
so there
let's go.
So he was against his own quote. What an idiot.
Let's go to 365 Ninja. You know what? If 365 Ninja says it, then let's go. Okay, 365 Ninja says, either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. That's good. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and I may learn. As we mentioned before, there's no evidence he said that, really. And then the other one is, and he put in, a penny saved is a penny earned. We've all heard this. Now, let me tell you about that. Ben Franklin never actually said this. In his book, Poor Richard's Almanac, he said, a penny saved is 2 pence clear. That's what he wrote, but he never said a penny saved is a penny earned. So I'm sorry, 365 Ninja. You're going to have to go back to just ninjing. You're not winning the thing.
I like the original quote, though. I think that a penny saved is what, 2 pennies? A penny saved
is 2 pence clear.
Clear. That is a great quote.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you keep it, inevitably, it will become worth something more. A penny saved is a penny earned is not as insightful, but I think that it's also kind of more average, everyday man up. A penny saved is a penny earned. You know what I mean? As opposed to a penny saved is 2 pennies. I think it's one of those things that the internet has shown us that sometimes simplicity and vocabulary goes farther than trying to be constructively intellectual.
Right. Like co-thief. Remember co-thief?
Yeah.
Oh, that says everything you need to know.
Right.
When the history books are written about Donald Trump, one word stands above them all. Kofi. All right, but I'm not going into politics. So finally, Jim.
No, I get it. But that's like, listen, this is one of the reasons why Trump is a genius, because he's able to just go crooked Hillary, like one word, and
it sticks.
that one word made a lot of people go, yeah, she's crooked. I don't care whether you agree or not. Like you said, this is not political. It's the genius of simplistic vocabulary that just gets to the matter quickly. I like that.
Yeah,
quote.
no. And finally, we got Jim in Caring from Facebook says, you may delay, but time will not. We heard that one before. That's a good one. Either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. And the list one, I've never heard this, but I like it, is fish and visitors stink after 3 days.
Oh, I love that quote.
Now, that's a good one.
I don't think that that's Benjamin Franklin, because I've heard that from my mom a few times.
Yeah, I don't, but it's a good one.
Yeah, I love
so,
it.
boy, I don't know.
My Mexican mother is worried about she's quoting Ben Franklin, bro. But you never know.
Man, I wonder, Carlos, I don't know if you remember, I'm going to say the one that I think jumped out at me the most was Laura Ann, because she's on point. She knows her audience here. And she said, I fear the man who drinks water and so remembers this morning what the rest of us said last night. That one probably could have, and then we must indeed all hang together, or most assuredly, we shall all hang separately. And finally, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. I think Laura Ann brought it tonight. What do you think?
No, for sure. And especially with this show, and especially being somebody that didn't drink for, over half of his life and now does.
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay.
When people are drinking around you and you don't at all, there's a weirdness to that. There's something tangibly not wrong, but just seemingly uncomfortable in that. And I've been on both sides. I've been the guy that's like, guys, you guys can drink all you want. I'm going to be the designated driver. But they're still like, whatever, dude. You know what I mean? And now I'm on the other side of like, hey, bro, have a drink with us. No, remember, So that quote really got me. Got me.
So I think Laura Ann is our winner, right?
Yeah,
congratulations, Laura Ann. 100%. I was trying to go for somebody who said, the he that lies down with dogs, because somebody did say that shall rise up with fleas.
Yes.
Because now I told you I've been quarantined with my dog now I know what the problem. Now I understand what's going on here. But anyway, this has been a lot of fun, man. I've really enjoyed it. Can you let everybody know out there? We've got, by the way, a couple more comments. Somebody said, can you, what is it? When can you, OB on Facebook said, Carlos, do a show in Vegas. We miss you. So
you know what? The show in Vegas was canceled. So I think I'm going there in September, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll be there. Look, I'm one of those guys that comedy is my stand-up specifically. It is like oxygen to me. And I need it. I need it because I just have all these thoughts that go through my head that become festering internal emotional scars if I don't put it out there. And part of it is I want to make people happy. I want to make people laugh. A little bit of that is also like, I'm not crazy, right? I'm not the only one that thinks this way. And the laughter of those, especially edgy, seemingly out there thoughts and beliefs or jokes, whatever they are, there's something really cool about people laughing at what I'm saying and me going, oh, I'm not the only one. And them at the same time going, oh, shit, I'm not the only one. There's something cathartic and awesome about that. And I need to do stand-up. I might. Next week, I'm supposed to be in Phoenix. I might cancel that show, but only because I heard today that they've had a spike in COVID cases, and 75% of the ORs, and they went into emergency mode. So I don't know that I want to go to a place.
Yeah, don't do it, man. We need you around for a while. But
well, like I told you, I already got it. So I got the antibiotic. I've already actually given blood so that they can take my blood and try to help other people with it. It's a different thing, but I'm trying to get out there as much as possible because there have been times in my life where I knew America needs stand-up comedians. One of them was after September 11th.
Sure.
We just needed it. It was just essential to our being to laugh at that stuff. And right now, with I don't know that we've ever seen 16 days of protests. Who would have thought, dude? Who would have thought that this would occur? And it didn't. So with all this change, some of us had to be guided through all of this, and it's a great time. So I want to be up on stage, but I also, I don't want to be putting people in harm's way either.
Well, in the meantime, where can people find you on social media?
On social media, everything is / Carlos Mencia. So that would be Facebook and YouTube / Carlos Mencia. And then Twitter and Instagram, it's Carlos Mencia at Carlos Mencia. And so I'm not doing TikTok yet because it's just fun, but
me and you'll do some after this for dance.
It's just too quick, bro. It's too quick. Like every time I tried to do a TikTok video, I'm like, oh, that was it? It's over? Like, what? I got more stuff to say. So Instagram,
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, more my flavor. YouTube to be able to expound on things.
I'm gonna follow you. You follow me back. I'm at the Imbiber. At the Imbiber, at Carlos Mencia. I thank you, man, for spending this time with us, and thanks for getting into the whiskeys with us. I want to remind everybody out there to check out Flaviar, become a member of Flaviar. It's a lot of fun. You get to be cool like me and Carlos.
Very, very nice.
Do it. And I want to thank everybody out there. I know you got a lot of options. People are Instagramming live. There's all kinds of things going on, but I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us right now. And I hope everybody stays safe, stay cool. Next week, we're going to be back with Everybody Loves Raymond creator and Somebody Feed Phil Star, Phil Rosenthal, right here on Nightcap Live with me next week. Carlos Mencia, I appreciate it, brother. Peace.
I'll be watching next week, bro. He's a great guest. And I want to start getting into this because I love the way it worked out. I love having difference. I love being able to sample. My buddy told me that I should have got into doing this with wines, and I was like, whatever. But this is much better.
Next week, I think we're doing rum. It's from the Dominican Republic, Brugal rum. So you got to tune in for that. Phil and I will be talking about it. And I hope to have you back on here again and maybe on my podcast, whatever, man. It was really great hanging with you. It was great hanging with you. And great hanging with all of you out there as well.
Cheers, brother.
And we'll see you next time. Cheers.